Hi everyone, let's cover my Elliott Wave scenarios on Doge on the 4-hour time frame. And in general, the probabilities are highest to sooner or later take out this high at 0.29. And the reason for this is this move to the downside, which counts best as a 3-wave corrective structure. Because the move to the downside has a higher probability of being a corrective move, we're basically looking for a range after which we eventually expect price to move up and take out this high. I have a couple of scenarios for you, starting with the most bullish scenario where we then have a finished 3-wave structure and the move towards the upside is either a wave A or a wave 1 followed by a WXYB2, and we look for continuation to the upside in either a wave C or a wave 3. But in both of these cases, you want to take out this high here at 0.25. The invalidation for this scenario is creating another low here, moving below 0.20. The second scenario has a similar short-term price movement, as also here you'd like to see price move towards the upside. It is, however, a slightly different count. This is exactly the same, ABC, 5-wave move to the upside in a wave A or 1, but now your corrective structure is larger, which might play hand in hand with what we expect for Bitcoin, as Bitcoin preferably creates a bit of a larger structure. Now in this case, we then have a wave W being a zigzag structure, and inside wave X, we're looking for a more complex sideways move, being a flat in a wave W, flat in a wave X, and then a zigzag in a wave Y. Now wave Y can also be a flat structure, but because wave W is a flat, rule of alternation, preferably wave Y is a zigzag structure. I should actually say guideline of alternation. Now once wave X is then finished, we're looking for wave Y. As we are looking here at a sideways WXY corrective structure, and wave W is counted as a zigzag, wave Y cannot be a zigzag structure and therefore preferably becomes a flat. Now that then finishes your wave B or 2. Your invalidation is the low here at 0.1882. And you're looking for another move towards the upside to then, once again, take out this high at 0.25. The third scenario also has short-term similar price movement. Even though you could take out this low here at 0.20, you preferably do not yet take out this low at 0.19 before at least seeing a move towards the upside. So you can see there is like short-term overlap between the different scenarios, which is nice because it makes life easier. However, in this particular scenario, we can create a much longer range. So we have an initial move to the downside, which is the ABC, didn't change, but now we label it a wave W, so it's going to be part of a larger corrective structure. Then we're working on a 3-wave structure being a wave X, and after your wave X, you get a wave Y to the downside. Very similar to if the move to the downside here would be a wave A, 5-wave structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lower probabilities. Doesn't matter because the movement will be the same, preferably a shorter move still up and then another leg down in a C. Very similar to what you see here, right? This is the bullish, the third bullish, this one here, and the bearish scenario combined. And you can see how the lines are overlapping. Again, it makes life a little bit more easy. Now wave X here is then once again a more complex structure where this move up, first of all, is a W, so we counted ABC. Therefore, this is an ABC flat in a W, flat structure in a wave X, being wave A, wave B, 5-wave move up in a C, and preferably then your wave Y is a zigzag, W being a flat, wave Y a zigzag, and then a 5, a 3, a 5. Now to give you a little bit more information, if price would move to the 6 fib time here on my chart on the 1st of September 2025, 10 p.m. Central European time, without taking out this low, the probabilities for this wave Y to the downside decrease, which means the probabilities for the scenario decrease. Because preferably you're looking for a wave A, a wave B, and then a wave C to the downside. And preferably your wave B is not going to be significantly longer than your wave A. So you can see I have different fib times here on my chart. 3 fib time is still fine. The moment you start to reach a 4, 5, 6 fib time, the 4 fib time is on the 30th of August. 5 pip time on the 31st of August, and the 6th is then on the 1st of September. That is where slowly your probabilities are basically declining. Now, the highs and the lows of the lines that I've been showing you in this video, the polylines, are specifically put on certain levels. Because if I show you my horizontal support and resistance levels, and in particular my volume levels, which is the ones that you see here on my chart, then if we go through the different scenarios, you get an idea of why the lines that I've drawn are the way they are. We have some support here to the downside, daily naked point of controls at about 0.21. We have the big range point of control over here, which of course we have traded through many times, so I don't necessarily expect it to hold as a significant pivot. But then above here, we have a resistance that has not yet been touched with this wick, which is interesting, around 0.25. And to the downside, becomes relevant with other scenarios. We again have the low over here, point of controls, this area is the same. But look here, we have a weekly point of control and a daily point of control, both at about 0.20, which makes this a very interesting area of support, and definitely one that I like to keep my eye on if price would move to the downside and goes that low. In the very long range here, once again, the same levels are going to play a bit of a role. So you can see how things are nicely aligned with some of the volume levels, and that's also the way I like it. These are going to be my trading areas, or at least areas where I like to observe what price is doing. Now, in general, even though I've shown multiple scenarios, the story is actually the same, that in the short run, if I open everything, right, it might get messy, but just look at the lines. In the relatively, I suppose, short term, we preferably see a move towards the upside. Even if you take out this low, it just would give an even better opportunity to look for signs of strength after touching support, see a market structure change, maybe some bullish CVDs if you have them on Doge, maybe flip some resistance like the point of controls that we have, the daily point of controls, into support, right? Typical support resistance flip. But seeing some extra signs of strength can then give confidence to look for a move towards the upside. But in general, you can see that the lines are moving to the upside. Even if you come back down and take out the low, it would just provide a better trade opportunity. In the second part, it all depends on the first move up, right? Either continue in a C or a 3 or create a high and we look for price to move down. We'll figure that out as price goes. I'm on a 4-hour time frame. So before we eventually reach the end of the initial move up that we are then expecting, we'll come back to the chart and see what happens. So the probabilities then are relatively simple here on Doge in this range. We are expecting price to eventually take out this high, which of course can take a little while, no problem. 0.29, this high over here. Reason being, higher probability this move is a 3-wave corrective structure. Now an ABC to the downside, 3-wave corrective structure, can merge into larger corrective structures. So this move down can therefore become a W, X, and a Y. It can become a triangle, even though I'm not really looking at a triangle. It can become a flat, also not really looking for a flat. I'm currently keeping an eye. If a larger structure, I would continue keep an eye on a potential WXY at the moment. But yeah, I've shown the different scenarios. Short term, it's a similar movement in price, so I don't necessarily have a favorite scenario at the moment, as again, in the short term, you expect a bit of similar price action. So yeah, hopefully you found this useful. Thanks for watching this video. Hopefully it's valuable and helpful to you. On the left, you can see a video on the simplest way to use and trade Elliott Waves without even counting. And on the right is the altcoin analysis playlist where you can find many more altcoins. Thanks for watching and subscribing, and I hope to see you at the next one. Bye-bye.